Today we're going to be going over a few fragrances that are sometimes almost a little bit too strong to wear. There are times, especially when you over apply these, that they can become a little bit overbearing, and it kind of makes you want to readjust your spray routine for these in particular. This is especially common when you're going from summer scents, where you may over apply them on a more regular basis, into fall and winter scents, which is a transition we're going to be making soon, and you kind of keep that same spray routine out of habit, and you go into some of these with a little bit too many sprays, and sometimes it can be a little bit annoying. All these fragrances in this video are great performers, so if you're somebody who is kind of a performance junkie, you want things that last long and project far, all of these are gonna do that for you. As always, I will link everything down below to discounters for you if you want to make some purchases, make it really easy. Also got some special codes for Joma Shop if you want to check those out in the description below as well. Those codes only work through the app, but still is an extra way to save some money, because I don't really always run sales or public coupon codes that often. This first one is Latafa Kamra Quawa. It's the second flanker within the Kamra lineup, and is more of a kind of a prominent coffee-focused take on that existing original DNA. Now, the original one was known as an Angel Share clone by Killian, of course, and this one, it still does kind of run in that same crowd, except, again, more of a focus on coffee here. This one has coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, tonka bean, praline, so a lot of familiar faces, but with a bit of a twist as well. This stuff is outrageously potent. So is the original. This one is as well. And, you know, already you're not paying a lot of money for it. Whereas if you're going for the Killian or whatever, you're paying more. So you're spending around, I don't know, probably $35 to $40 for this for 100 ml, which is a great price point to be at. And then on top of that, you're not having to apply a lot of it to get a good result. So it really works out to be a pretty good deal. If you live somewhere where it's cold and you want something that can stand up to the cold temperatures, and you're okay with sweet gourmand fragrances, this is definitely one that is very strong and checks off all of those boxes. And again, going into it, start off with less. You know, less is more, and then you can adjust from there. But I think most of you will probably find that it doesn't take a lot to get this one going. This next one is Givenchy Intense Oud. Been around for quite a while. Always a little bit more of a mysterious one, because it's kind of been to the point where it would go away for a little while, but then come back and then kind of go away. So there's been a few times where we were left thinking or wondering, is this discontinued? Is it ever going to come back? And it's been pretty consistent in stock here for quite a while, so I'm not really worried about that right now. This is a 90 ml bottle. I'm double checking, but yep, 90 ml, coming in at an eau de parfum concentration, and I believe you're usually looking at, I don't know, somewhere around $100, let's say that. It's fluctuated a lot over the years, but it's not outrageously priced. This one kind of rose to fame a little bit because of comparisons to a pretty popular Nasamato fragrance, and that is Nasamato Black Afghano, which uses quite a bit of oud and is, well, it's in kind of a different league. It's much more strong, a lot more daring, more of a true niche fragrance, as you would probably come to expect. And as you could also come to expect, this Givenchy release is a little bit more tame, a little bit more mild. Still, of course, is using some oud. It's in the name after all, but nowhere near the level that the Nasamato is. And I find it to be just way, way more wearable, way more versatile. And also, when you factor in price per milliliter, a lot more affordable too. Now, you could make the argument that the Nasamato is an extrait, and so yes, it's only a 30 ml bottle, but it's still much stronger than this, and you know, you could go either way with it, but this is still going to be less money out of pocket, and you get a lot more as far as quantity or volume is concerned, and also you just get a product that is just going to be way easier to wear in a much wider variety of situations. And don't really let oud scare you away. It's prominent, you can smell it, but it's nothing crazy. This would probably be at least a decent oud starting point, you know. Still maybe sample at first if you're on the fence, but it's not too extreme. And the good thing about this one is it is still a very strong performer, as you would come to expect for being in this video. A few sprays and you're pretty much set. This next one is Stefan Humbert Lucas Black Gemstone. So I believe they changed the bottle. I was looking this one up before shooting the video, and the bottle looks a little bit different now. So I guess this is a vintage bottle, as they would say. But I really, really like this one. Woody, resinous, smoky, mysterious. It smells fantastic. This is the only fragrance from the brand that I own. As you guys know, I really don't go too far into niche. There's not a lot of a demand for it on my channel, and there's so many different places to go. It's just, you know, it doesn't really make a whole lot of economical sense. I do have all the niche from a lot of the main brands and stuff, Creed and PDM and stuff like that, but you know, that's not really what we usually cover. However, this is one that I really, really enjoy. It's got cedar, resins, olibanum, again, and some myrrh as well. Woody, resinous, sweet. It is a phenomenal release. I'm gonna throw this one on. It's not really gonna be my scent of the day, but wow, I mean, it is punchy, strong, inviting, smoky and rich off the opening for sure. This is gonna be a little bit more on the daring side of things, so probably not, you know, a top contender for blind buy is concerned. However, I guess if you already know that you like things like this, then maybe it would work in that way. This is a 50 ml bottle, and I believe you can get it for around $150 to $160 right now on discounters, which is a lot of money, and especially for 50 ml, but in the wide range of things, as far as 50 ml niche, it's not out of pocket. I mean, there are things that are much more expensive than this, granted, from more popular, trendy brands as well, but I think for the price, you can get a fantastic smelling, unique, high quality niche fragrance, and yet again, one that will last all day long and project really good as well. Next up, we have Farragamo Womo, just the original here. This one has tonka bean, sweet notes, as pretty generalized there, but they listed off a bit of ambroxan, then I don't know, a little bit of cardamom as well, but that's not a huge player. I would have liked to pick up on more cardamom out of this one. It's somewhat fleeting. It just pretty much goes into sweet notes and tonka bean, and that's where it sits throughout the entirety of the scent. Just the faintest amount of a little bit of a bright ambroxan in there at one point in time to, I mean, it doesn't even give it any balance, but at least to give it just a tiny bit of a bright pop, but it is basically sweet as all get out from start to finish. Yet another one that not everybody will enjoy because of that. It's so extreme in that regard. However, this is one that you can get for a good price. It's usually $35 to $40, very reasonable, and becoming more rare these days to get something that is this strong and just this good for a price point that isn't completely killing you. You know, it's just, even affordable fragrances are getting more expensive because literally the whole landscape is changing, and all the new fragrance releases are just continuing to drive up the retail price of designers, you know, and niche, of course, as well. So, you know, this is one that you could still get for a great price and is a very strong performer. Okay, let's go for a Nasamato up next. I brought up the brand earlier, and Black Afghano would, of course, be a fit in this video, but let's go in a different direction with Baronda. This was a very, very sought-after release for me. I got it several years ago just because I love boozy fragrances, and just kind of seeing the reviews online, it looked like something I was going to love, and so finally ended up pulling the trigger on a full bottle. Again, these are straight 30 ml, and oh my gosh, is this stuff strong. I've told the story before, but if you have people around you that are hungover and you're wearing this around them, you know, it could kind of encourage the idea of maybe getting sick, for lack of a better way to explain it, and I won't go into too much detail, but that's how realistic smelling this one is. Just a very, very bright, potent, strong whiskey note. I mean, this stuff is next level. Just, if you don't like the smell of like a whiskey, if you don't like boozy fragrances in general, please stay far away from this. But if you are into this sort of thing, and again, you're okay with it being very realistic and very extreme, this is one to go for. And again, strong. So I did end up scrubbing this one off, and it took some effort to completely erase it from my skin. And I only did a couple of sprays, but just trying to scrub it all off of my neck was quite the challenge. Up next, we have Mancera Eternal Wood. I haven't talked about this one a ton. It's a little bit of a newer release. I believe this was last year's release. Could be wrong on that one, but I think that's where this one slotted in. This one has saffron, oud, toffee, and amber. So, you know, I wasn't really sure what to expect out of this one when I was getting it. I just kind of basically went into it as a blind buy because it was a new release. I was picking up another new Mancera at the time, which was Amberful. I bought them both at the same time. They were both new. So I went for this one as well. And it is definitely a woody focused scent. Sweeter than expected. I mean, the notes kind of allude to that, but I don't think I really looked at the note breakdown when I bought it. And so I was expecting less of a sweet woody scent and more of like an earthy, drier, woody type of scent, maybe focusing more on a vetiver and a dry cedar wood and stuff like that. But this one goes in much more of a sweet, resinous direction, which I'm okay with. I think it does smell really nice. It doesn't have as much utility for me, so it's not one I'm reaching for nearly as much as something like Intense Oud, Tonka Cola, and a few more that I've talked about quite often. Cosmic Pepper is another big one, you know, and even Amberful is more wearable. A little bit more of a specific situation for me for this one, but yet it's still a very strong scent. Make no mistake. All of these Manceras can be had for under $100 for a 120 ml full presentation, and the performance that some of these give off for that price point is just astonishing. It really is pretty crazy. And so if you do want a strong performing, kind of resinous, woody, kind of oud scent, I would look into this one. Kind of starting to run down to the end here with Amouage Reflection Man 45 Extrait. The bottle alone is enough to make me want to buy it. You know, I wouldn't go out and pay retail for these. At that point, that would be probably the most expensive fragrance I've ever bought if I bought this at retail, a little over $500. I didn't. These are usually on discounters for around $320. People who are on my mailing list have been able to get it for $200 before for testers, which is just unheard of and doesn't happen hardly ever, but pays to be in the right place at the right time. But you can still save around $200 off of retail right now. Lavender, neroli, iris, jasmine, olibanum. It's that white floral Reflection Man DNA. Smells a lot like the original EDP, but significantly stronger and just a little bit more rich. I've never gotten the best performance out of that original, and I've been, you know, I've said that before. It's always been a favorite of mine in terms of smell. It's just beautiful white floral and one of the few floral-based fragrances that I really like, but I just, you know, the performance was always a letdown and it kind of ruined the experience for me sometimes. This solves that. 45% oil concentration, which is unheard of, really. I mean, most brands don't publicize their oil concentrations when they're making anything, let alone an extrait, but still, 45 is still above average for what your usual extrait is, and they have ones even stronger than this. Interlude 53 is another one, which is just, this stuff is crazy strong. And last up for this video, we have Killian Oldfashioned. Love this stuff. Yet another one that's a boozy fragrance and is, you know, a little bit daring. I would say this one's going to be slightly less trendy than something like Angel Share, which got really popular, as well as all of the clones. This doesn't have quite the same appeal, but is definitely really good. Got wheat, cedar, tolu balsam. That wheat type of note is giving it this boozy accord, and that's been used in a few others. I think, I don't know, is it single malt that they use that in? I don't know. But that's one that's kind of in a somewhat similar category in one way or another. But anyway, yet another one that is just really strong. A couple sprays and you're good to go for the day. And at the price point that this one comes in at, these are a little bit more reasonable than a lot of the other Killians. So, you know, it's not cheap, but it could be a lot worse, and at least it makes up for it in performance. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some fragrances that are almost too strong sometimes. Again, when you're wearing these, start off with less and adjust from there. You know, you might find that you do need to add a few more, but going from your summer spray routine, that you're used to using and applying that to these, that could get you in a bit of trouble. And some of these are just really hard to actually scrub off as well, as I've encountered. Like I mentioned earlier, links to everything will be down below, and some special codes to Joma Shop as well that are only able to be used in the app, but you can download that app and, you know, save a little bit of money here and there. Those codes do expire at the end of next month, so make sure you grab those and use them up while you can. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.